All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a question that seems pretty simple on the surface. Who's stronger, a Viking warrior or a modern bodybuilder? But trust me, the answer is going to surprise you, and it actually tells us something really deep about what strength even means.
Okay, so let's picture this. In one corner, you've got a 10th century Viking warrior, right? Lean, mean, maybe 180 pounds soaking wet. And in the other corner, a modern bodybuilder, just a mountain of a man, tipping the scales at 280 pounds of pure, sculpted muscle. I mean, on paper, this shouldn't even be a contest, right? So for the first test, we go classic, an arm wrestle. Now, you'd put all your money on the big guy, wouldn't you? Well, you'd lose. In just 8 seconds, the bodybuilder's grip just gives out, fails completely. The Viking, on the other hand, barely seems to notice. It's a shocking, total shutdown. All right, next up, something even more brutal. A 12-hour row. A real test of endurance. And the bodybuilder, with all that muscle, he's completely done in just 45 minutes. Taps out. The Viking? Well, at hour 10, he's apparently still going strong, maybe even singing a few songs. This isn't just a win, it's an absolute demolition. And this is what brings us to the real mystery here. How is this even possible? How can a guy giving up 100 pounds of solid muscle just dominate so completely in tests of both grip and endurance? The answer, it turns out, digs into something we've basically forgotten about: how to build real usable power. Okay, so let's dive into this. We have to start with the obvious, right? The bodybuilder has this massive advantage on paper. We're talking a full 100 pounds of what is pretty much pure muscle. And look, let's be totally clear about something. If you put these two in a modern gym, the bodybuilder would absolutely destroy the Viking. I mean, on a 1-rep max for a bench press or a squat, it wouldn't even be a competition. His whole body, his entire system, is built for that one single explosive burst of absolute maximum effort. But this is where the story takes a really weird turn. See, when archaeologists started looking at Viking skeletons, they found something that just didn't add up. Their bones had these stress patterns, these muscle attachment points that suggested they were doing way more work and carrying way more weight than their body size should have allowed. It was a complete scientific anomaly. And that very anomaly, that's what points us to the real answer. The huge difference between them isn't really in their muscles themselves, it's in how those muscles were built. It's the difference between training for a workout and working to survive. And this table just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? The bodybuilder's goal? Looking good, aesthetic size. The method? These isolated lifts in the gym. The result? Insane maximum strength for 1 rep. But the Viking? His goal was just survival. The method was constant real-world work. And the result was something totally different: incredible work capacity. And that term, work capacity, that's the key to this whole thing. See, it's not about how much you can lift one time. Not at all. It's about how much useful work your body can pump out over long stretches of time, even when you're tired, and then recover so you can do it all over again the next day. It's a measure of strength we've almost completely lost sight of. You have to understand, a Viking's body wasn't getting some nice, structured workout at the gym. No. It was being used as a tool, day in and day out, just to stay alive. We're talking about rowing a longship for 12, 16 hours straight, hauling fishing nets that weighed hundreds of pounds, farming with hand tools, fighting for your life. There were no rest days. There was just constant, brutal, real-world demand. So this huge difference in how they built their bodies, it forces us to look at this whole competition differently. It makes you realize that asking who is stronger is actually the wrong question. The right question is, stronger at what? Because the winner changes completely depending on the challenge. The best analogy I can think of is this. It's like asking if a Formula One car is better than a tank. I mean, on a smooth racetrack, the F1 car is going to win, no question. But what if the terrain is a muddy, unpredictable battlefield? Well, then the tank is the undisputed king. The environment defines the winner. And this chart just brings that point home perfectly. You put them in the bodybuilder's territory, the gym, and he's the champion. He dominates. But you put them out in the real world, rowing a ship, building a shelter, hauling gear, and the Viking is in a completely different league. His body is the tank, built for the battlefield of life. So all of this whole showdown, it leads us to the single most important lesson from this comparison. It's a principle that really applies to any physical goal you could ever have.
And here it is, and it's kind of an uncomfortable truth. In a lot of ways, modern fitness culture has traded the ability to do things for the appearance of being able to do things. We've prioritized looking big and strong over having true functional capacity. Now, neither one is wrong, but they are very, very different things.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, at the end of the day, your body just becomes whatever you consistently ask it to do. Strength isn't some general one-size-fits-all quality. It's a very specific adaptation. Training to lift something heavy one time builds a totally different biological machine than training for hours of nonstop work. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. It's pretty easy to measure your 1-rep max in the gym, but maybe a better question, a more useful question for the real world is this. Forget the single lift. How long can you actually work?